Everybody, welcome back to Financial Trading Basics. Back on the markets today. As I told you in my last episode, I have been on the sidelines since whenever I posted that video. For the most part, I've been on the sidelines for the past, year or so. But we saw Nvidia. Nvidia reported its earnings, and then the whole market crashes. What's going on? First of all, the market didn't crash at all. Let's do a little update on how my funds are doing. So like I said, I sold my house. So I put pretty much all of my money into SGov. We're over here at I think 580,000. So you know what did not crash because of the market yesterday? Treasury bonds. Look at me. But I just want to do a quick commentary a little bit because, again, CNBC, honestly, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, you can keep putting Steve Leisman and Deirdre Bosa and Leslie Picker and Carl Cantoni and Mike Santoli on every single day. But all jokes aside, I see it as a net detriment because you guys are not providing any value. Your average viewer is an idiot. You people are idiots. And you're criminals, by the way. The entire Julia Borston on record. Right here, Julia. I have a nice little hard drive with all of the clips from CNBC where you say, oh, and he's starting to look a lot more attractive in his late 20s. And he has nothing left to do besides build his biceps. Who are we talking about there, Julia? Yeah, that's me. And that's documented fraud publicly. So that's not a good choice. I know we're all having fun, ha ha ha. But I'm at my parents' house not making any money while you guys have 401ks and jobs. And as I sit over here, rotting in anxiety, am I going to get some fraudulent letter from the IRS? Because again, I sit in this anxiety, whether it happens or not, I'm going to just rot because I don't have constitutional rights. There's nothing more than I want than a job. Like actually, I want to start a company, I want to have a real job, but I can't do so because I don't have constitutional rights. So I wanted to give you a little look at what actually happened was pretty much nothing. I mean, this is Nvidia's earnings report was like a really good party that still has to end, right? We're all excited. The tech trade's going crazy. Nvidia's going to beat earnings and they're going to raise guidance. And they did. And then the stock goes down. Why did that happen? It's the overall anticipation of a big event, right? I don't know. Just use an example. My cousin has a wedding coming up. I'm sure my aunt and my uncle are, wedding. It's got to be this big, beautiful celebration or whatever. But it's still going to end. The day's going to come and then it's going to pass. And, right? So this is what happened in the stock market. Anything where you have a ton of anticipation. And then you get the results you want. And then it's like you still have to go home after a great party. The party was great, fantastic. And so that's what you watched happen. I didn't really play it at all. I was going to short Micron because I knew this was going to happen because like we talk about and we've shown in this series extensively, right? This is just the sell the news event. Like I can't provide that much or any new insight to what happened. But you have the news, they reported earnings, they beat earnings, they raised guidance, and then it goes down. And then people are like, did it crash? Is the tech trade over? Just these extreme whiplashes of sentiment is what all of this data represents. And I said, all of that's going to modulate, right? Just a quick breakdown of the things we've covered, right? Our resources are finite, but they're relatively infinite, meaning there's enough resources out there. There's a comet flying by right now with more gold or diamond than we could ever want. And so the resources are relatively infinite. The resources are there. The biggest thing that's going to not change is accidents, like supply chains have to consolidate, but that's based on the environment, tornadoes, geography, stuff. So that stuff's always going to change. But policy and an educated consumer is what's really going to change. But to me, there's no reason. Like, what is Nvidia's market cap? Right? So when it goes from, again, these companies that have when I'm over there trading micro caps, there's a lot of either this thing's going to hit it or it's going to zero and this is nothing. When you have real companies, it's like, what is a fair valuation? And then, you have the cliche, something is worth whatever somebody is going to pay for it, which is true. And so we're rocking a market cap of, what is that? 4.3 trillion, 4.3 million millions. I think that's what it is. But yeah, it's got to be 4 trillion. And so it's like, what is a fair valuation? Is it, is it 10 times forward earnings? Is it 1? Is it book value? Is it -1? And why? And to me, there was absolutely no data to even respond to. I sit here, when you watch me do physics and math and movie reviews and languages and all that, I sit here on the markets all day and I listen to CNBC all day, and there's like nothing to respond to. And then we get the, Bitcoin's crashing over here. Again, so then we have currency versus like an equity market. And the currency conversation, the representation of value is such a broader thing, right? It's not specific to one country. It's not specific to one company. It's not specific to one anything. It's the representation of value. You already live in an environment where there's just digits on the screen. And so again, like I said, I'm parked over here in SGov. We can look at, but then you only trade one market. We're all sitting here trading the same shit. And so, there's no really way to avoid tech exposure. Do I think the tech trade is going to continue? Yes. Again, the big market development of what's happening with artificial intelligence is you have companies that have established infrastructure, right? You're going to have new companies, obviously, but the Facebooks, the Googles, the Nvidias, the people that already have these infrastructures, what's going to happen is they're going to decrease inefficiency substantially. So if you have infrastructure, the companies that are there are going to still be there. Meaning, again, when you have some fund manager come on there and they're like, our clients, we're going for a 7% blended return, and we have 40% bonds and 60% stocks, or 60% stocks and 40% bonds. All of this shit is just reaction to the overall populace increasing. More people, more spending. So obviously the population will plateau at some point. Is that within the next 1,000 years? No. So it's like we're staying with relevant things and not trying to develop a big economic model. I honestly don't, like I said, I don't see things to respond to on CNBC, and I sit here all day looking for talking points in any subject. Again, if it's logical, it doesn't matter what if it's math or physics or economics, or if Billy says it or Susan says it. But yeah, like the Julia Borston talking about this stuff, that's just directly fraud. And then when I see, what was the other one? Carl Cantonilla saying stuff like, oh, it's good to be king, not in the morning. And these are things that readily play in my head. And that's evidence of emotional damages. I don't like the word emotional, but if you're thinking about it and it's wrong and it's causing you financial damages, that's a suable offense, like 100 million %. And so I'm over here. What did we got? I took a little nibble. I got me some Joby. I like Joby flying cars. I took literally 2 shares of Micron. So these are like $300-$400 positions. Meaning I'm parked on the sidelines. Like I said, I'm not in the game. Like I have to preserve my my income, which is a whopping guarantee. Again, hopefully like $2,000 a month. Living expenses super low. So I invested in these income funds, ULTY, WPay. Obviously, we took a fat tank because again, they're exposed to the tech sector, and you can't avoid it. Like the S&P 500, you're all going to be trading the same companies, and so obviously reduced my exposure tremendously. But again, down. So looking at these income funds, the income's actually decent. I think I've $350-$400 in the first 2 weeks. So if I'm getting $600 to $1,200 a month on top of the guaranteed $2,000, I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. And so I don't plan to reinvest the dividends into the dividend funds. I plan to reinvest any dividends I don't need for living expenses into these small micro cap companies that I think are going to do well, because I know the science is there for the quote-unquote alternative medicine things like the MMMD. I took a small position in ATAI. Again, the whole market's going to trade together. Everything goes up one day. Most of the things are going to go up. You'll have some things that are different, but the market's the market. It's all going to trade together. And so again, my outlook is against I don't have constitutional rights. I need to preserve my income as much as possible. So I don't mind the depreciation as long as it doesn't tank to like zero. Like as long as it doesn't go straight down, but then it doesn't matter. Because simply on my Bitcoin exposure, which I went down from like $85,000 to basically nothing, right? So if that depreciation of 30%, that's $24,000-$25,000 I'd be looking at. Just on the Bitcoin alone, let alone if I expose myself to any other stocks or bought anything else. Besides my boys over at SGov. Big chillin' over there. But, so if we look at the depreciation for my balances, where are we at? I don't know. Let's see summary. But like overall, I think the depreciation for the year is like maybe like $5,000-$6,000, and that's again with some secured loss from NMMD when that first bumped up to. I'll show you when it first bumped up here. I reduced some exposure here just because if it were to go down again, I wanted to buy lower. But these are things I'm going to hold till they either go to zero or go to $1 million. because the science is there. And it might not be these companies, but someday the policy is going to make sense where people can't open their mouths and say it is what it is, which is already happening. Like, at some point, something has to happen. But this is the next big scientific development, so these will certainly have humongous appreciations, because you're going to get that pharmaceutical, well, we can cure cancer, and then you actually cure the cancer. You're going to have a pretty solid company doing so. But again, all of these medicines are readily available if you didn't have statute law in direct violation of common law. That's from a whole nother series. And so again, I have these index funds. I don't mind the depreciation. You can't really avoid the exposure to tech if you're in any of these things. I see the tech trade as continuing. I don't see that as going away at all. When you're looking at these fund managers and they're like, oh yeah, we have our blended returns, it's like there's more people buying more shit and you're not doing anything special. I don't see that as going away, but I do genuinely see like this conversation of economics without new data. We don't need a news cycle every second of the life. We just don't. There's nothing new going on. And so, and then they'll talk about, like, I just saw, I don't know, Carl Cantonina talking to Rick Santelli or Santoli or whatever the fuck those guys are. And it's like, it's gold. Gold is up against Bitcoin. It's like currency versus, I don't even know why gold is even relevant. That shit there's no liquidity to gold. Don't buy that shit. If it goes down, you're going to have to like trade a rock for a Schwab account or something. So I don't see like the conversation of Bitcoin versus gold as a store of value. None of that conversation makes any sense. Right? Again, gold might have stored value and is actively used as a semiconductor, which maybe that will have a comeback. Maybe it doesn't. Again, it's like the manufacturing applications of where do we use these resources. Again, I don't know the applications, but on everything. I'm not in the game. Like, I'm not sitting here looking for its trades. But seeing the Nvidia blow off, and then people are like, what happened? It's literally just like a great party that still has to end. And so these big, and again, like I said, the maturity of the investor base is so low. It is so low. And like, you have, some grandma that bought Nvidia over here at 166 and she's plodding along. Maybe she got her first dividend for 1 cent or something, and then we go up, ooh, big increase, and then it goes down, and this all happens in like 6 months, and then it's like nothing. I mean, that is 0 time frames for a genuine economic development. And so, I mean, I'm just watching the conversation on here. It's genuinely funny, but again, I'm laughing because my life is already screwed. And so, like, I'm not in the game. I can't go start a company. I can't get a job. I'm over here trying to preserve income when I'm literally the victim of profound crime, incurring damages literally every day with no recourse, no remuneration, nobody that gives a shit. Then I can sit on here and talk about quotes from the host of a public TV show where they've gotten paychecks every 2 weeks. The 401ks, Leslie Picker's 401k is growing. So she doesn't really care. They don't see it as a net detriment. And in earnestness, it's net neutral. Like if Granny Joe wants to go make a stupid decision because you guys are talking about nonsense, she can go do that. I don't care. It's nothing wrong with that. You're going to lose money and you're a dumbass, but it's not, being stupid isn't illegal unless it affects somebody else. And so just watching the reaction to that was genuinely funny. But again, you have the timestamps of when I moved my stuff, and I'm over here just trying to preserve income. But I would have been building a short position since I stated it at the 633 on SPY. And like I said, I was going to trade the Micron's earnings for the same exact reason but Nvidia was a bellwether. Ooh, we tie a bell around our cow and it runs away, and all the other cows run after it. And so, mostly not being in the game, I would have held a small short position on all of these positions at open with a really tight stop loss just to try to catch this big when we dump from 260 down to, again, sub 200 in 4 sessions. And so, again, I was pegging that. But again, I'm not in the game. Like, I can't make any trades. I can't carry an open short position. I can't meaningfully hedge when I have to have any sort of, I have no margin exposure. So if I can't make a meaningful trade still. But like I said, the 633 on the SPY, which again, I would have been off by at least a month or two. And again, to get to profitability, because I actively manage all day, every day. And I'm not saying I called a top or didn't call a top. I said there's no point to any of that conversation is what I'm saying. You just get into a position and you manage it as best as you can. It always makes sense to buy something that you think is going to go up, and it always makes sense to sell something that you think's going to go down. Because then you get back on CNBC and they're talking about like, oh, we always buy the dip. Nobody wants to buy the dip. You want to buy something, you want that shit to skyrocket right to the moon immediately. You short something, you hope that company just files bankruptcy and goes out right now. And so when people are saying buy the dip, right, it's like, they're just kind of like, I don't even know what they're doing, like rationalizing their decision. But again, it wasn't a bad decision. I'm not saying that it's just you're just a monkey watching. All of this data is trailing indication, all of it, and it just maps the cycling of human behavior. And so that's what you watched there. From here, like I said, there's no reason I have no understanding or no economic foundation as to say what is a fair valuation of any company. And so could this trade sideways? Again, we're at the S&P right now. We'll go back to Micron. But again, the whole tech sector, the whole market's going to trade the same or similarly. The whole every sector trading similarly is going to stay the same and consistent. There's no real conversation for me to respond to, and I want to. Like, I want to be in the game, even if it was just giving like the segmentation they have on CNBC with like, your pre-market report, you trade the open. I would do a whole content series based on trading, but I'm just not actively trading. And so I have to preserve my income. I have to cross my fingers. Hopefully the IRS doesn't randomly decide to commit fraud and extortion, which has already occurred. You watch me have to fight that with the stupid state of Colorado. And I am the victim of crime. I am carrying $12 million of contractual losses. And I have lost my entire life. If someone would acknowledge my research today, I could run a profitable company in 15 different industries with intellectual property that is sitting on the internet now. And I can't. And it just makes I don't get to live my life. Not the point for this video. The economics on this stuff was hilarious. Saying gold versus Bitcoin as a store value is still the most archaic nonsense. Talking about any sort of fair valuation is, again, anyone's guess. I don't even begin to know what to say there. What do I make a decision? What do I think about the text trade? Again, I'm going to be on the sidelines. I don't see this as a blowout bottom. I don't see this as any sort of indication of anything. It could very easily, I don't see it going back up really fast. That's what I don't see. And I'm talking on a time frame of, I say this will either consolidate, I think there will be a blowout bottom. I think for Micron, just going off Micron, and all the tech stuff will trade the same. And if you even need technical analysis and you can't just see these pivot points, you're an idiot. And it's all nonsense pretty much anyway. And so like a blowout bottom to me would be sub 150 for Micron. Again, I'm in at a whopping 2 shares. Oh, we got a nice bounce over 200. Look at me. But again, this is with active trading. This is me sitting here, even if I'm not trading, and this terminal's open and I'm watching the whole time. And so, to me, any extreme volatility up or down, I play the opposite. And again, this, I don't see this as a crash. I don't know if this is a retracement. Is a recession and depression aren't well defined. The stock market decreases 20%. That means it's so arbitrary. And so, for the tech trade specifically, I see as a kind of going sideways for the next couple weeks, and then a genuine blowout bottom, which I don't think has happened yet. And then just kind of an extended period of consolidation. Again, on an extreme blowout, I might add something more substantial. I do want to be in Micron long. Why? Just have, again, some tech exposure. I'm taking any of my dividends from these funds. I'm not reinvesting in the funds themselves, hoping the principal doesn't depreciate to zero, but the actual income's pretty good. At least, again, for my purposes. I can't go make money anywhere else, and I want to. I'm actively trying. A portfolio just sitting on the internet, 15 different industries that have a company today. But luckily, we have no laws and no consistency. And so that's what I'm doing. And I want to be in the game so freaking bad in this stuff. And it's not even, it is for the money. But again, I want on a personal level, just stabilize income. And then I want to explore economics. I have so many interests in these things. And it really is wide open. It really just is. But again, I already proved game theory wrong. Profit exists, which is again another trivial Nobel Prize. Put it on my tab. But it's true. It's demonstrably true. And I'm the one that proved the entire backing logic. And so, I don't know. Work smarter, not harder, I guess. Have a math subject in your head. I don't fucking know. But it was so genuinely funny watching him. We're like, what happened? And I was just sitting over salivating. Again, because I don't even care about the money. Like I have created so much value outside of dollar bills. Like truly, like truly. Oh, all I want personally is stabilized income. I can't have that without constitutional rights. So if you're watching this, which nobody is, that isn't actively committing crimes against me, I don't have rights. I can't seek court remuneration. I can't seek justice at all. I just have to sit here and hope that I literally don't go homeless, which is not a joke to any capacity. And then CNBC is, again, every major anchor on there has demonstrated awareness of my work, discussed about me, either directly or so directly they might as well have said my name. And it's fraudulent. I mean, it's directly fraudulent. Why does downtown Josh Brown get to sit on there and talk about stocks? I mean, he's a fat fucking idiot. I want CNBC's job. Comcast, hire me, fire everybody at your trading desk, and I will sit there and I will do work better than all of them in every industry. You don't need Rick Santelli to pop on over and be like, oh yeah, the bonds went down to 3 basis points, and that doesn't even make any sense. So, honestly funny. I wish I was in the game. Obviously, I can't, but I would have been building a substantial short position on the tech sector. I mean, I documented it. It's not like I didn't document this stuff, but from here, again, I expect further depreciation and then consolidation. And so for me personally, like I would want to add, I would play these appreciations to the short side, and then unless there's an extremely pronounced bottom, which I would take a small position, but all of my major accumulations, if I could play with the other kids, and the other kids let me play, I want to play with the other kids. But I'd be adding substantially in these periods of consolidation where it's just like it really is sideways for a year, 6 months. Maybe you pick a stock that collects a dividend, you get a little bit of income, you don't lose much depreciation. But I do see the tech continuing with this AI. I mean, it's that is the efficiency, the algorithms. Check on maths class, see where that's going. But that's what I wanted to say for there. And this incessant news cycle is not beneficial. You're not providing value to the little Granny Sue at home. She just saw a red number on her screen. She wondered why it went down. And she's calling up her broker like, where'd my dollars go? And it's like, this is just a wild, wild west of shit going up and down. None of this data means anything. And when your fund manager's like, yeah, dude, blended 7% return. We did good for our clients. It's literally just them like basically doing nothing and more people existing buying shit. So thank you for watching Financial Trading Basics. I hope I get constitutional rights. I have no expectation. Please don't commit more extortion. But every bit of tax that I've had to pay concurrently going on is extortion at the highest level. Obviously, I've covered there's no point to cover the crimes. No one gives a shit. And especially when it's the government, you literally can't do anything. And bonus points if no one believes you and they've slandered your name and ruined your reputation to the point where you can't exist without people saying, oh, well, it's your fault. But I can keep running around and wondering what happened after NVIDIA. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.